And we're good to go. Let's open the meeting. It is, and we have a
6:06.
6:06, thank you. And shall we say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, will everybody take a look at the last meeting's minutes and just see if everything looks good to them?
Yes. This road says recreation. It's like a couple of lots in there. It's like public safety, like hydrant, animal control, and all sorts of stuff.
Does anybody have any issues with the minutes? Could I have a motion to approve them? And a second? Still. And a vote, all in favor of approving the past minutes? Okay. So last time we skipped over the very end of general administration to get to the fire department. So I think we need to go back to, did we do employee benefits, the IRA matches?
Yes, we did that part.
We did that part, did we did the plumbing inspector?
Well, and this is,
Did we do legal? I don't remember doing legal.
yes, we did do legal.
Okay.
Yep. Plumbing inspector, I don't really understand why you have an expense line for plumbing inspector. When you go to get a plumbing permit, you get the permit, you pay $265. 15 goes to the clear water, quality water Department of DEP. And then the rest is split, 75 to the plumbing inspector and 25% to the state of Maine. So it's a wash. It's not anything we budget for. The fees are divvied out by the state. They're really, I don't understand why you would even have that. So,
It's always been in there. It isn't a budgeting consideration. You don't budget,
well, you actually,
but it does run through Trio.
it shouldn't. Well, it does, but it doesn't, it runs through the general ledger, not the
Correct,
expense
correct,
side, which is
correct.
this. So my suggestion is take that off your expense, chart.
Fine by me, as long as it doesn't upset your spreadsheet. We
Nope.
don't need it for anything.
Exactly, that's,
All right, and we made it through the fire department and approved the 69,880. You were going to talk to the select board of, did anything change there in terms of the fire department?
Oh, yes, what we put in the budget for their wages, that was gonna be a change in the personnel policy, which was approved by the select board at the meeting following our last meeting.
Yep.
So his budget that he submitted, it should be correct.
And the other thing I wanted to talk about is the reserve.
I don't think did we settle on a reserve or not?
I don't believe we did. Years ago, we used to set the fire department budget, and then at the end of the year, anything they did not spend was forwarded to their reserve. I wasn't a fan of that at the time, but the more I've looked at it over the years, the more that seems like something we might want to consider.
No, I realize, and like I said, we're gonna get into this in a few minutes, we're gonna be handing you a road budget that's gonna make everybody kinda go like that. But it's gotta be done. We're not sure where funding or what people are gonna decide, what the people are gonna decide they wanna do with building next door. But the reality is, we've got 2 aging fire trucks. I'm sitting here looking at the board there, that there's couple of pretty significant issues to the tanker and the rescue right there. So we gotta be planning to get some money into that reserve account.
And I've been watching Matt the last couple of days on the part for the tanker. And he hasn't found it. He hasn't found a part for the tanker yet.
Well, not only
So-
that, when he gets a part that they knew they were planning on doing it themselves, that's a miserable job, and if there's extra rust under there, it's gonna get miserable times 10. So, and it's just the beginning, or beginning of the end, or the end of the beginning or something there.
I don't believe the budget committee can approve the carry forward. That would be something you guys would have to put on the
Well,
warrant. But it's
the-
something we should think about.
The other thing is, we can also kind of, my plan is, as we discussed, if we finish up here on the budget tonight, then next Tuesday night, selectmen and the budget committee meet together, then some of these questions can kind of be worked out, hopefully then.
You guys can make a recommendation to Gary.
Correct. I'm not hearing anything from
I think
anybody.
we should have assigned accounts where it does get carried forward.
You think that we should do all carry forwards? Well, it wouldn't be many because you're talking, general government, fire department, yeah. There's 5 or 6 of them, but,
I mean, and if you do them as assigned and not reserved, then if the town runs into issues, it can be moved back once, however you vote on that part.
Well, I was gonna say, a sign can be moved at the discretion of the select board.
But reserves.
Reserved has to be done by the people.
Right, so if you do them as assigned accounts,
right,
you're leaving that leeway that if the town really needs the money to go somewhere else, you have the availability to do that.
does anybody want to, we have $10,000 down here on the fire department reserve.
Currently, that is just sitting in a savings account. It's just sitting in an account. It hasn't been moved to, this specifically says reserved account.
That 10,000 we already kind of have in the sweep that's set under that.
Right.
This is-
It's never been transferred is what you're telling me.
Yes, that's exactly what
Okay.
I'm telling you.
But this is for next year, so.
So, yeah, this was last year's, that 10,000 she's mentioned, it was last year's.
Right.
So you're saying, I get what you're saying we need to come up with a figure
For-
for 2025.
That's what we're
So,
working on.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is an auditor's thing and they'll give you the general ledger,
But that should show up on your balance sheet too.
yeah,
Brian, what are we looking at costs here?
Yeah.
yeah.
If you replace that tanker and that reserve pumper out there, you're talking with a new truck that will replace both. You're talking a ballpark of
Right,
$550,000.
I understand that, but right now, is just to get things level again, what's a valve go for? I mean, what's the cost of what we see on that board right now?
Problem is finding
$1,000
it.
ballpark,
Huh?
$1,000 ballpark.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know,
That includes
and that's, I mean, as far as the rust, there's probably not a hell of a lot you're gonna do about the rust. I mean, you park your trucks inside, you wash them as well as you can, but, I don't think we're gonna hit a point where we're gonna be wanting to do a lot of rust repair on that old tanker. The ball valve is not horribly expensive, couple $300, but it's a bear to change, but these fellows are planning on changing it themselves.
Oh, okay.
The brakes on the Rescue, I don't have a clue, what do you think, Josh, any idea? It just says brakes not acting right, that could be anything from $100 to a $900 problem, or more.
Yeah. 1,500.
I was just,
So my guess is, my best guess is, Rick, $1,000 on those 3 items just listed there, and he didn't put those there for us to necessarily ruminate on tonight, but $1,000 would put a Band-Aid on that problem right there, those problems right there. And that's a ballpark.
at this juncture, unfortunately, that's an important Band-Aid.
Well, yeah, when you get to a fire and you need water, yes, a Band-Aid's very important.
I'm just saying we need to make sure we're taking care of something like this.
Oh, we haven't told him not to do repairs, don't worry about that.
Thanks.
So, to put a Band-Aid on it,
Yeah.
you don't know how long the Band-Aid would have lost on it.
Just think of it as your own in terms of your own vehicle. I just went through this recently, I just replaced my pickup, I mean, I'm sitting there looking at a lot of rust, I said, really? I mean, my truck's it runs good, it's a good truck, but it doesn't make much sense for me to put $5,000 worth of rust work into a 12, 13-year-old truck, and I decided for myself it didn't, so we're kind of in the same ballpark. We can keep these things going, but it's not something you ever want to have fail on you. But again, when you have a truck break down, that's why you've got mutual aid. You
And
know,
they've had to use it
my-
quite a
my-
lot last week too, with fire up in Abbott, fire down here, bad fires.
I mean, you knew my father, when he was fire chief in Corinna, he always told me, he said, always plan on every piece of equipment you have breaking down on your fire and have a backup plan for it, so.
I think one of the questions is so important is priorities that we've talked about before. You look at the building situation plus $500,000, we're already $1 million. I mean, we're talking some serious change, and so I think we're gonna be faced somewhere along the line with, not somewhere, we're definitely gonna be faced with this issue, and I'm not sure where we discuss this, but
Well, when we get through the budget, I think we're going to discover that we've approved a budget that is substantially higher than last year. And we're gonna wanna think about that. Town manager has suggested that we do that next week at the select board
Yeah,
meeting, Tuesday or
what I-
Wednesday.
You folks said you could meet Tuesdays.
Yep.
Anything other than Tuesdays causes
That's true.
conflicts for some people. So, I'm asking the board to meet with you next Tuesday, which would be the 4th, which would be the night before their regular meeting. So, if we can do that, then that's probably a good place for a lot of these discussions to take place.
Brian, when you talk substantial, what do you?
Well, if you go back
Just a
to,
ballpark.
if you go back to the end of general administration, we are up, I believe, about 100,000 from what we budgeted last year. Well, we budgeted 279, and then what did we approve at the special town meeting?
I don't know, 200 and something.
But, so that has increased at least,
Yep, I forgot about the special town meeting,
Yeah.
right?
Just,
But that put us back where we were.
yeah, and,
So there's the 80.
I jumped on board SAD4's website today, and it looks like their proposed budget, as near as I could read from reading, the best I could read is about an $800,000 increase in their budget over last year.
That's what they
They
did
post-
last year or the year before.
Okay.
Same town.
what, they're posting something already?
They've got a proposed budget posted, I found
They
on
do,
their website.
already?
This is proposed, I don't know if it's been through any hearings.
No, because it wouldn't be approved by the board till April, and then go to the people in June.
But the proposed change, if I read it correctly, was 798 and change.
That alone's scary.
That's what they did last year.
Yeah.
They about the same amount.
Huh?
The previous year, yes. It's almost $1 million.
Yeah,
That's where most of your tax like came from.
It's all in there.
yep,
It's all in there. It's all
all in
built
there?
in. Yeah,
okay.
it's all built in. Because I went back and when I added that to bring it up to what our whole proposed budget was last year.
So it's in the proposed
It's in, yep.
line as
Mhm.
well as,
This is what you spent. And then
Yep.
this is,
the to date is,
So, Brian, this $10,000 is in the reserve account now?
Yes.
And that's all we got is $10,000 in there?
that is all,
It's in our regular.
It's actually in our sweep account to be designated to the reserve account. Do we have anything in a reserve account for fire other than that? All we have is 10 grand set aside for the fire department.
To replace that equipment there is $500,000.
It's gonna be more than $500,000, but
You know, years ago, Will established town manager, he used to set aside $20,000 a year. And in 6 or 8 years, he had some real money to do this.
15 to 20,000 in Willard's day was a lot more money than
A lot
15 to
more
20
money,
is
but
today.
He was rude.
Well, we got one that needs to be replaced within 10 years, right? The pumper, front line pumper, 10 years.
And how much is that?
The frontline pumper, we're not even talking about, we're talking about the reserve pumper and the, but if we replace that reserve pumper and tanker with one pumper tanker, that can then take your role as your lead pumper, they put your other pumper back as reserve.
Right.
Practically, it won't work that way all the time, but you gotta have the flexibility to change based on your firing location.
But either way, that's 10 years, and 550 divided by 10 is 55,000 a year.
Yeah,
So that's what we need to come up with. Not
Where's
maybe, but that's what,
You'd have to come up with.
if we wanted to buy it outright, 10 years from now, that's where we'd have to be.
10 years
I guess
from now.
I'm suggesting the 10,000,
Once inflation shrinks, you're gonna have 35, 40% inflation up until.
the 10,000 plus whatever they don't spend. That will give them, well, we'll see, it might not give them a lot, but
geez, that's pretty close on the money, actually. 35% and 3.5% a year.
I don't know. Anybody got a motion?
I think we need to start building, I mean, we just can't keep sweeping it under the table. At some point, we're gonna have to have a truck. So, 10,000 plus anything else they don't spend.
Well, we'll just recommend to the board that, in some years
Recommend the
that,
10,000 plus whatever they don't spend.
some years,
You're gonna have to
that's
replace this
substantial.
stuff.
If they have bad years with repairs, it's not as substantial, but some years they manage to spend, save quite a, so who'd like to make the
Well,
motion?
And the hard part is you're getting into the age of those vehicles where you're not gonna have a lot of access because they are gonna be spending them on repairs.
Yeah,
So we're making a motion to recommend it to the select board, is that what we're doing?
yes.
So-
I second it.
And that will go in addition to the 10,000 that's already sitting there, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's just a bookkeeping, that's a move. We voted to do it back in, was it May, June, whenever we had the
But
first time
we
meeting.
need to work to get these in reserve accounts so that they're not sitting in the general.
Right.
So if they have $2,000 or $3,000 left over.
Then, yeah.
And next year we did 23,000.
And that's
Yeah.
one of the things we need to do probably at next week's meeting and with the selectmen is come up with some
We need
arts. What we need to have articles in our town meeting warrant to establish some reserve accounts,
Right.
basically.
assigned and reserved, and we want to designate between the
Absolutely.
two.
I agree fully.
Well, the assigned would be your big departments, right? Your general government, your fire department, animal control.
Yeah, we essentially have assigned already.
Right, it's just that it doesn't carry forward, and what you're asking is for that to just carry forward.
I would like to see it carry
Yeah.
forward.
So we can,
Sometimes you can't get everything done that you want to get done, so you're right.
or when you did
And
like,
that's kind of one of the things Josh and I ran into on roads this past year. If we had done a month of good weather, we would have got a little bit more work done.
we had the reassessment done, and we had budgeted the money, but somebody forgot to move it forward into the next year, and that's what caused a big crunch. So,
Well, if it's done correctly, it should be an issue,
correct.
because it would be carried correctly.
Correct. You know, if the audit had been done, you'd have just put all that money, you'd have assigned all those things and. run it
Which
through.
year are we talking about? I
I
just
think-
got
I
23.
know, I'm saying if 23 had been done, this would have already been done and you wouldn't,
We just have to keep moving forward and get it on
Correct.
the way we want to see it set.
correct. So I need, Rhonda made the motion that we approve 10,000 plus whatever the fire department doesn't spend. I need a vote, all those in
That's a
favor?
recommendation to the selectmen.
That's our recommendation to the selectmen. Okay. Don't see any dissent. Animal welfare control. We have two lines.
We went way over on that for one specific reason this year. And I don't think it's gonna be a surprise to anybody that was that 6 Mill Street situation with the 30 cats. Now, but where we went way over was initially with our first round where Joe and his posse Pat, and everybody else on Mill Street trapped 8 cats and Joe hauled them off to Lincoln. When it came to getting the majority of the cats out of there, which I believe we now have,
I think so.
we got a we were able to, with Kelsey's help, she found a cat rescue organization in St. Albans that was all excited to come up here and do it for free for us.
Fritz.
Which we've known that about 2 months earlier, but different situation at the time.
Okay, some of this money should be carried forward. Should be in, not a reserved account, but an assigned account, from each dog licensing.
Should be, is, no, it will be going
So,
forward.
I'm just saying this 3,500, you probably have at least 2 of that sitting.
Not even close.
No? We lose a lot of
Years.
dogs.
I cannot find the revenue. The revenue is not going back where you would expect the revenue to be.
Okay.
So part of your licenses, the reason, what happens with dog licenses is there's a portion that goes to the state of Maine, and there's a portion that goes to the clerk, and then there's another portion that goes into the animal welfare account to help fund this. I have not found that in any of the books that we have been working with. So I've redone your whole chart of accounts, we're working on the general ledger now. That's where some of this money would go to, or it should come back in so you can see that it's going in this account and will be carried forward. That's what it should do. At this point, I don't have that set up yet.
Okay.
I'm working on it, but
It's gonna really take the town a year to cycle through all of this to get our numbers back on track. That's what I would say to you. And we need to understand it, and again, I don't wanna beleaguer the audit part of it, but you have a depreciation schedule and you don't even know what that schedule includes. We don't know
What is all
if
this?
some of the vehicles that have
So,
already been
this
sold
would be
are still
Joe's
being
pay.
depreciated on the
Yep.
books.
this here is the
This is
shelter.
shelter.
I'm hoping
This
they have
here
work
is, I
papers
mail
out the
notices out to
auditor's
every
office.
owner.
Once a year,
agree with
yeah.
you, but one of
And
our
then this
things
one
I
is
feel
this
right now
mileage,
that's
Joe's
important
mileage.
is for us to get this
Okay.
budget
And then other expenses would be like postcards or printing or whatever. Yep.
Because they never went beyond-
Right.
Oh,
It's-
oh,
That
it was
doesn't,
hidden in
that
other.
doesn't require us to.
It
get
doesn't
the
give you a
budget
true picture.
committee's,
True,
uh,
true,
role in town government, and we can come back after we get this budget in place and bring the auditors in here and sit down, and again, I think that would be a good thing for the budget committee, the select board, myself, for all of us to sit down with the auditors together.
So now Bridie was just asking me what the other expenses are. All you have ever done is budget for the animal control officer's pay and the shelter. You haven't budgeted for anything else that goes along with that, which is sending a notice out to the animal owners, let them know that there's gonna be a $25 fee, late fee, if you get to February and haven't registered your dog. That's $25 per dog. Some people have 4 and 5 dogs. They can't afford it, so we send notices out. The advertising for the rabies clinic that we do, that's not built into your budget prior. I have kind of taken and added some of this stuff in so you could get a true picture of what it's gonna cost you for your animal program.
So you've always been paying this, it just came out of other pots. I know the mileage came out of the pay line. I don't know. I don't know where the notices came out.
I don't
You're
know.
recommending 3,500 is what you're recommending.
She's
So it's gonna
recommending
be
5,000.
5,050 is the total. And if we don't have another incident with Mill Street or another situation in town that would be similar to that, that obviously wouldn't be, that's too much.
So we had 30 cats and then rounded up. I'd move 5,050.
Okay. Anybody second? Wanda? All those in favor? And I'd like to say that if we figure out at some point how much we have to go towards that, we don't have to raise all of it, we can appropriate.
Right, we will have it carried forward and you will see the revenue from the licenses
Correct.
going back to these accounts.
So we won't have to
So-
raise that.
Exactly.
All right. Department 7 is protection, streetlights and hydrants. These are
They don't have any choice.
Nope, these don't change very much.
You don't have the hydrants.
I move we approve
Homeowners
the
insurance goes right through the roof.
1,200.
That's amazing.
Okay, and shall you seconded? So 45,200, all those in favor? All right, Public Works. We have changed this a lot. Let's see. So mileage, I assume, is for you to check the roads, Brian?
Yeah, exactly. I've got a, this is for a little bit later on, but when we get to paving, I just got a road
Okay.
plan that we kind of, the four of us here put together yesterday. There's a little bit of flex to it, but gives you some idea what we're looking at over the next 5 years. We've got a plan that we're not just kind of going up there and saying, wow, this road needs some work this year, so that we actually do have a plan to get our roads back on track. But that's more for later than these first line items.
All right. So. Do we want to just take a vote at the division? Let's go down line by line and then just take a vote at the division. We have 70,000 for
Gravel.
gravel. That's a lot of gravel.
We need a lot of gravel. That's probably.
That's
why,
for,
believe it or not. That's for, to start with, that will be, the Grant Road, Turner Road, Jackman Corner Road, the Bean Hill Road. That will take up most of that 70,000. We're also gonna need some gravel on the gravel part of Flanders Hill Road to get that graded and hopefully paved. And that's pretty much where the majority of our gravel is gonna go this year.
You figure basically three loads for every culvert you replace.
3 loads for every culvert.
So we're talking about $50,000 variance from 24, correct?
you are.
On our budget, so that was obviously it was on our budget line.
So when you get to the division subtotal, we're talking
5%, so.
60, yeah, 65.
65.
So that's going to be most of it. Let's keep going and then we can, if we will be approving the Public Works budget and we will be bottom lining it. They will be moving these numbers around as it best meets the needs of the town.
Exactly.
So we can get down to the minutia and say we think you only need 50,000 for gravel, or we can at the very end say, all right, I understand your needs, but the town can't spend this amount of money, let's cut it, and they can figure out where to go from there, and what the board would recommend versus what we might recommend. Erosion control is 0. You know, you probably still have all that calcium.
That's why it's 0.
Good.
Because we have enough calcium chloride up there. And actually getting the calcium chloride from the garage on the road, I kind of figured into our contracted services.
Perfect. Hot and cold patch, 3,000. That's pretty not excessive. Do we have an inventory of culverts?
Yes, I can't remember what we have right off the top of my head, but we went through most of what we bought last year.
Okay.
It's 2 15s and a 15.
I think you're right, 2 18s and a 15 left.
That's not much. Okay.
We've got a lot of culvert issues out there.
Oh yeah. So 20,000, which is only 1,000 more than was spent last year. Yeah.
And And actually, I may have undercut us there.
Okay. Brush cutting, is that the,
Josh, did you wanna talk about that real quick?
are we talking,
My numbers are really off on that.
are we doing roadside mowing or are we doing the,
The brush cutting is expensive.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
at about the $12,000 mark on that one.
mm-hmm,
But, because we really need to mow the backside of our ditches. Because you can only mow the front side so long before the backside takes over the front side.
yeah,
And then we lose our ditch.
yeah,
So, and to keep us from ditching quite so much, it'd be really good to keep the mowing up. So, mowing really should double, but hopefully it will save us in the long run,
Yeah.
you know?
So we really should change that to 12,000.
Can any of that work be done by Mountain View inmates on the
I don't
restitution
know if they do
program?
that anymore.
They,
I'm not
last
sure
time
if
I
they do that.
checked, they were so busy that you couldn't get them unless you knew somebody really, really well, or, you know, they were just booked.
I doubt.
Oh, they always did.
I mean, we can look into it, but I got an idea the answer would probably be no. But we can check.
It worked well when Joel was there, but COVID happened and it,
Well, and the other thing, you know, a lot of those inmates, like Labree's Bakery.
yeah, it
hires
takes,
a ton of them. I know Pro Shoes out there at the Pleasant River had a bunch of them working. I mean, they've got these people working in commercial
yeah,
settings that are a lot more consistent for them, and I think that's, you know, takes a higher priority.
it does. Contract, well, mowing the welcome sign, we discussed mowing last time. Hired contractor, 100,000. That's up 80, from 80.
Because there's so much paving to be done.
Mm-hmm.
You should really get all of your ditching and culvert work done the year ahead of time. And this year, we've got a bunch of paving to do that we're not prepped for, so we need to prep and pave, plus prep for next year's.
We didn't paint the crosswalks this year.
I put it in there, we don't have to, but
It looks like we just, no, it looks like we didn't this year.
I don't think we did.
Not for 24.
Grading, 16,000, that looks pretty. Beaver dams, are we having more beaver problems lately?
All that,
Not yet.
that's one.
Not yet. Well, yeah,
I mean, our contract for beaver dams is,
I write a check out all the time for it.
I can tell you, but it's gonna take me a second.
okay. A boat landing, 500.
I got the roads.
And the dam, and dam repair, 5,000. Do we have a plan for the dam?
We're working on it. Yes, we do, for the Mahanic Pond Dam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna need to get, somebody with an excavator to set in there and clean some silt out the front of that this spring, and we're gonna, I believe Blaine and Newt is planning on providing some hemlock boards to replace what's, I think it was hemlock is what he told me. He's planning on replacing the boards, the spillway, I guess you could say, the floodgates.
I think 5,000 is good. The only quote I could get 5 years ago was 6. So. That looks good. So we're at a division total of 227,875.
I've got this right here. if you want.
Okay, yeah.
So the beaver dam, we had to sign a contract with the state of Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And they're at 2,000 a year, but that's not the total cost. Every time they come do a beaver, it's like they charge a little bit of material and a little bit of time. It's like a very downgraded cost because we already signed paid in the contract, so it's like, what, 60 to 120, it seems like every time. And we've got one on, what the hell's the name? Norton Mills Road that we did 3 times this summer, and they
Yeah.
just love it, they keep coming back. One of the times we trapped 6 beavers out of there,
Beaver and
Did-
state.
so.
Both. Did, we have to sign the contract? We couldn't find a trapper?
No, we have. I think we looked around, because it was before me. Jeff
Which
Libby actually
obviously
signed this
was
contract.
before me.
He had looked around and couldn't find anybody that was
Yeah, it doesn't surprise
certified
me.
to do it out of season, because it takes a special license to do it out of season.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other part to these guys is that they won't do it in season. So if we have a big problem in season, we gotta go find a trapper so that they can have the chance to get it. So it's kinda, I thought that said, we've already paid you, we have a beaver problem. Well, it's in the agreement.
Okay.
You get the price of beaver up and they'll come tackle.
Right.
That's the problem right there.
Probably, yeah, beaver hats have gone out of fashion.
They aren't worth anything.
Nobody wants them anymore.
I would say the beaver dam thing should be at 2,500 the way we're sitting right now. If we can find somebody, that'd be great, but,
Do we know when the contract runs out?
so it's first of the year to first of the year.
So we haven't signed,
We haven't signed this year's yet, no, he
Okay.
just sent it to me the other day, and I told him we look at it in the next select board,
okay.
so.
So we probably ought to change that 227, but increase it by 8,000 based on what Josh just said with the mowing, the brush cutting, the mowing and the beaver.
Yeah.
So that should actually be 235, 875.
I'm not seeing much response
Want
here.
to go over the lines, which lines are you talking about now?
The increase, the beaver control, beaver dams line, I lowballed that because I didn't have the information Josh just had for me to, right now,
So we're changing that.
2,500. And the brush cutting roadside maintenance would go from 6,000 to 12,000. Again, we've been doing a lot of work on a lot of different things on the road stuff, and we just kind of getting it pulled together here at the last,
And the other, I mean, before you guys really go over that too hard, they may wanna look at the paving, what we would like to see for paving this next year, because you guys may really sit back and that's really gonna change here.
Well, yeah, we're getting there. Do we have a contract for winter roads?
We have
Where-
a year,
we have a year-to-year?
contract.
Okay. And do we have a contract out or for bids for next?
That's coming, that's gonna be
Coming-
coming on
coming
the
right
next
up.
couple of weeks, yeah.
Okay,
So basically what I did was use this year's
right.
number and increased it by 5%. So I increased
Do we think we're going to need a lot more salt, or did salt take a,
it. No, we're gonna need a lot more salt. That was one of the things we discussed is the salt. Salt we're putting out is pretty light. That's one of the issues where we're getting some complaints and not getting good clearance on the shaded areas of the paved roads.
did the contractor put up,
Yeah,
Sand?
it's mixed well.
it's mixed well,
We just, I don't think it's mixed.
heavy enough?
We get a lot more ice than we used to, and back 5 years ago, it didn't matter so much, but now we're getting to where it really matters that we put a little more salt to it.
And I think we get more complaints on ice than we ever did before.
And sand has gone up a lot?
I don't think it's gone up a lot.
So we didn't really need a lot of sand last year, because we had a pretty good pile left over. And I'm
Okay.
afraid with the way this winter's going, we're gonna
You
pretty
might,
well use up
yeah.
this pile, and
Okay,
because
that's,
we only bought, I think it was 1,700 yards last year, and we like to have 2,500 to 2,700 in stockpile. So,
that's not heavy. 27 to 3,
yeah,
yeah. Okay. Maintenance. What is maintenance?
Maintenance, we talked about that earlier today, because I asked you, remember I asked you that one.
That was the cleanup from
That
like
was
taking
clean
care
up
of
the town garage.
the plastic and all the winter,
Yeah.
taking care of all that stuff.
Okay. All right, contract services. We have a contract and I assume this is,
That's your plowing.
yeah, well, it's our plowing, but the 190 is based on,
This year's
Um,
plus 5% roughly.
probably, yeah. Now, is there still a clause in there for fuel surcharge? But we can hope that fuel's going down.
You can home, drill, dig, drill.
So that would mean that division would stay the same. All right, all of this,
There's quite a bit of stuff in there. The fire department's got some, a couple of trucks in there. Chris keeps his loader in there in the winter, so.
we're buying oil, we're still heating the town garage, right?
Yes.
Electric, water, sewer. Do we get a separate trash busters for the town garage?
That's the only place I can figure out that's where
I
Trash
called
Busters is.
I called them, that's where they said it's at.
Yeah, it is, it's behind the town garage, but I don't know where, it was never used to be in Public Works, that's all. It just surprised me to see it there.
Do we use that trash anymore?
As far as I know, yeah.
She says they get picked up every other week.
Yeah, so then the cemeteries,
Well, just because they pull in there.
I called Trash Busters to wonder why, cause I don't.
because like the cemeteries when they clean up, they take stuff
Right.
up and put it there.
The trash busters now have a little green bucket out there, because, you know, they're making everybody else have theirs out by the road.
I think that's residential.
Well, no, I got a little green bucket
Oh, really?
for Papa
We
Lumber.
haven't heard anything from them.
Okay.
No, as far as I know, they still drive up
You know,
and.
some places, the post office, they still drive.
Do they? Well, this is a really bad bin. I mean, you have to be careful getting into it, and you have to literally climb into it to get stuff out. I'm surprised they are still doing it.
I don't know.
That. You need garage supplies, safety equipment. We have safety equipment, fire insurance, the mowing. Contract services.
That was the cleanup we just talked about.
So you're gonna be contracting every year with somebody to clean up? I assume you're gonna be paying Chris and Warren to do cleanup?
Yeah, I guess for lack of a better term, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and then, so that subdivision is really very minimal. And now we're down to road improvement, which we've always called paving.
And that's what the plan I just handed around to everybody kind of outlines what we want to do. And the reason these three gentlemen are here with me is they can help me answer any questions on that.
How long is that portion on Flanders Hill?
Flanders Hill,
Yeah.
7/10 of a
The
mile,
7/10? Yeah.
Or 8/10, boy.
4,000 feet,
7 or 8/10. Okay,
or 4,000 feet.
all right.
There was a bit of a debate over that last night, because you can't see exactly where the gravel and the pavement separate right now because of the ice and the
Ah,
snow.
gotcha.
We may be 100 feet off somewhere in there. We've all measured it multiple times.
We've gotten every bit of money out of that measure.
And you're going to talk to Dover about the line road.
We are. I have to go into the town office over there at some point in the next 10 days or so, because I gotta register paid over the excise tax on my new truck, so figure out.
I don't think you do.
So I don't see any problems with the projects. The problem always seems to come when we decide what's inside the budget and what's outside the budget. And what you have for fund balance. And we don't have, I'm taking the fund balance that we used to have. It all got taken out of the CD and allotted this year.
That I don't know about, I guess.
That's the sweep.
That's a-
Oh, the sweep,
That's,
yes,
it's
okay.
all in the sweep.
Okay, where are we?
Where, I honestly can't tell you.
Okay.
I thought a few weeks ago, it was
We moved,
23 or something.
Our sweep is actually in pretty decent shape right now.
the amount of money that I moved from the CD over to the sweep account was $725,981, I believe.
Okay. And that was the whole CD?
That was the whole CD.
And when was
You
that?
had a penalty of almost $7,000 because it was withdrawn
Mm-hmm.
after it had rolled over.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say, try to escape anything here, but this all happened before I came here.
It was 7,000? 7,000?
6,800 and something, so I just rounded up
Yeah.
$7,000 you lost because it
What do you mean
rolled.
it was withdrawn?
Your CD was closed at Main Highlands and put into your Camden National Sweep account. And that's where your general fund is right now.
Do we know why they did that?
So they withdrew the money and they were penalized because they withdrew the money from one account to another?
They did. And I had,
They were penalized almost $7,000?
yes, I had
Because
asked,
it was in a CD that didn't get put back into a CD.
Right.
Or removed at the right
It,
time.
it wasn't rolled in the amount of time. It matures, you have so much time. It wasn't done, nothing was done with it at that time. So it is standard for the credit union to
Pay a
charge
penalty.
90 days worth of interest.
right, and so.
And it's not for the town, it's for anybody that has CDs.
It, I had asked if they wanted me to pull the CD early because we had all this discussion of, you know, the building and the Scott Packs and other things going on, and they said no at that time. Then it came down to, we were almost out of money in the checking account, and I brought this to the attention of the board, and they said, we better pull that money. So that's what we did.
Cost $6,800 to do that.
Yes.
Sure, they didn't have them doing it then.
It did not, Paul, I was 3 months before me,
So
4
now-
months before me.
Keep in mind that this is, everyone is looking at the town report at the time, which I think is 22. And there was a listing there that said your checking account, you know, they included the CD, and it was like $1 million. Everyone kept saying you've got $1 million, you know, you've got $1 million in your general fund. Well, you don't, because your checking account was 300 and something. Then you also had the 440,000 for the building. And you also had the 40,000 for the Scott Packs.
There was a $200,000 article for roads in there too.
Right, so they were taking the
That was never
700
funded,
and,
by the way.
780 something was listed in the book, and they were subtracting those things out of that. So it's very fuzzy as far as exactly what you have for a general fund.
Well, so fund balance only exists from December 31st to January 1st. Fund balance is what you budgeted but didn't spend, and it's what you took in that you didn't count on taking in. So we've always run around $1 million, and it grows a little or shrinks a little each year, but it's not, you're right, you'd have like 300,000 in your checkbook and
Right.
you'd have the CD. It's not what you have, it's not your cash flow
No.
at all.
So, but unfortunately, what ended up happening is articles were passed when you didn't have the money there
Right.
to fund those articles. So, and
Well, we went and said, oh, we can take 440, we have,
from the 782.
782, yeah.
But to tell you, to move on, we don't have what you think we have. You know, I really can't tell you exactly what we have for a general fund right now.
Rhonda, do you have the audit with
I'll
you?
say,
So you can't tell us how much money we got. Basically, what you're saying.
not in the general fund, no.
We can tell the sweep account.
We can know the sweep account, but I can't tell you specifically this is the general fund.
We're kind of getting mixed up on accounting terms here, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think somewhere along the line, we need to start defining things. I mean, I'm
We're
totally.
working on
Oh.
it, Rick. We are.
I have called the auditors, if I don't call and talk to them every single day, it's a rare occasion. There was a question today, I got the audit from 2022, and there were two things that were listed there that I didn't see. They also carried over into this audit. So I emailed the auditor and I'm like, I don't see this, why is this all of a sudden showing up? Well, he went back and he looked and he goes, oh, well, that's now been used, so don't count for that.
Do we have the right auditor? I mean, that's starting to concern me right off the bat.
We've done a little asking around about that because we had the same concern. But what we're getting told by other municipalities is if we got this auditor, we want to hang on to him because what else is out there is a whole lot worse.
Well, I mean, the concern is that if we're not already in trouble, we're certainly potentially, looks like we're walking into trouble. I mean, we need to start defining.
I think what happens is that maybe it's not missing, it's not recorded correctly.
The town is in very good financial shape. It's just how things have been recorded that is not correct.
Right.
And the hard part has been the lack
Where's the
of.
documentation? Is what I'm saying.
In my hand.
I think it's been lost over so many rollovers over time. There's been a lot of confusion there.
We haven't had the continuity in the town office.
So this is
basically.
saying
I'm new, Michelle's new, Kelsey's
that your
new.
budgetary fund balance was,
And the people that were before us were only
847,000,
short
that-
term as well.
I've got
And that, I
the
believe,
money
is
in my hand.
because-
So I understand, but I'm just
Responsibility.
I'm trying to say that I think some of this lack of
That's good, but I don't believe
continuity,
it.
the money's there, and the money's probably for the most part where it's
And
supposed to
again,
be.
if you go back to
We're
the
just
22
kind of
report,
learning where
you're
that
gonna
is
find
because
something similar to that, and
nobody
that's
was there to
not.
say, here's where this is, here's where this is, here's where this is. It's like,
They've been
okay, your
recording
position's been vacant, so now you come in and
$13,307
kind of figure it out as you go.
For the fire
And that's what,
department,
you know.
that was appropriated out.
Hmm.
And it's still being carried over in your town report.
I'll almost tell you when that was done.
Yeah, well, I can now. But I honestly,
Okay.
it's a lot of digging. I have dug, I have tried to do
I'm not,
everything that
I'm
I
not
could.
kicking at you, I'm not,
Oh, we
Swear to
understand,
you, I'm
The-
just-
the board, this committee needs to understand, your frustration is our frustration, but we're living it every single day,
Yeah.
all day long. And, you know, the same questions you're asking us, we're asking each other and the auditors and everybody else a dozen times a day. We're making progress, but we've got some work left to do.
We do, and it's not easy. It's not that I can sit
Oh,
there
no.
all day long and do the financials. I'm helping Kelsey learn her thing, and I'm trying to help answer people's questions. If I could sit there, I would sit there 40 hours a week and not move, and not go home.
And still not have enough time to do it all.
Right, exactly.
to this point.
It's a lot
It
of
is, but our
rebuilding.
goal now is to just kind of, and get through it, and get us
Right.
back to where we
When
need
was
to
the
be.
last audit done?
just finished.
Just finished, yeah.
We just finished 23. We're starting 24.
which is normal.
Yeah,
Yes.
because we just closed the books.
Right.
Yeah,
I have a stack of papers like this of things that I need to send them, which we're gathering and sending them electronically.
What did the Article 23 show?
Article 23?
Audit.
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 Oh, she understands it way better than I do. That part, I'm not good at reading it, honest.
That was one of the things I did my first week here, is I contacted the auditor, I asked for a meeting, and I said, if we get anything here we need to be concerned about. And the answer was no, everything's where it, everything's legitimate. It's just us figuring out what's supposed to be on what line, pretty much. is where-
Everything is.
Yeah.
So at the end of 2023, they have the town with cash and cash equivalents of $605,496. And then investments, they had $790,311. So at the end of December 31st, we actually had, if you want to call your investments cash, 1.3, almost $1.4 million.
And that,
It's now just trying to get all of this in the right place. That, I think that's what we're doing.
But that was a year ago.
That was a year ago.
That's not currently.
Right, that's not 2023.
And
That
what's
was
the
at the end of
composition-
23.
Yes.
Right, that
What's
was,
the composition of our investments? How does that?
The 790
that's
that you
in
just
that
read
sheet
off,
that
yeah.
she's talking about.
But that was at the end of
23,
Right,
right.
so
We don't know what we got now at the end
Right,
of
that was
24.
23, correct?
Right, 'cause
That's 23.
they canceled that investment and put it into the sweep account, and they moved it.
That cost us $6,800.
That was a 7+, correct?
It's not funny, but.
However, Josh, had the CDs,
Believe me, we sat here and smashed our head off the table too.
And this is why I said, you gotta settle through this, we gotta
They
settle.
might think it's small because in the past it wasn't recorded correctly.
Did we lose a lot of interest when it?
yes, we did. All of that money was interest.
exactly.
This is wrong.
Right, yeah,
On the other hand,
could be scary.
the first 3 years, they were making close to 20,000 in interest. I mean, so you didn't lose all your interest, but you just lost a big,
The other thing is the board voted for us to allow us to change over to Androscoggin Bank, which we're gonna be doing here within the next few weeks, which we hope that will, through that process, we can clear a lot of this up as well.
And their interest rate
Their interest
is
rates are a hell of a lot.
substantially high.
John Simcoe's running it, he used to be the town manager, so. There you go.
so I guess we just need to figure out, I don't even know if we can right at the moment, figure out what needs to be in the budget and what needs to be outside the budget. Because when you sit down with a form that the assessor gives you, you'll plug in the numbers and then you'll know, well, you'll have your short report, so you'll have a better idea of what you have for fund balance, and you'll have a better idea of what the mill rate looks like and what you can afford and what you can't afford inside the budget.
So we're not gonna be doing any of these projects except maybe Mill Street, which I can cover with LRAP money. Before taxes are committed
Yeah.
anyway,
Right.
we don't have that option.
I know,
But what we're looking for is, can the budget committee, support this plan or not, is kind of where we are.
And this is what I will say again, at some point, we just gotta bite the bullet and start doing this stuff, or it's not going to get better. We're
That
just
was
going
the
to keep going
conversation the
back.
four of us had last night when we put us together,
Right. And then,
or finalized.
at some
this, I
point, we
should
should be able to level off again.
yeah. You say that this is outrageous, I think it's not outrageous at all. I
Well,
think,
it's just a lot compared to last year and the.
to last year, yeah,
But we've had years where we spent a lot of money on the roads,
yeah.
but the last few years we.
When I put those numbers together last night, I went home and I didn't sleep.
I've been there, done that, yeah.
But I don't see a way around that, because if you don't start putting the resources into these roads, they're gonna continue to get worse. And,
Frost and everything else,
and maybe that means I don't know, I just don't have a good alternative here.
you pay now, you pay later.
Yes, we'll pay more later.
You pay me.
And you're gonna pay more later, like Jamie
That's
said.
right. You pay more later.
And you see on that paper, Silver's Mills, like year 3, 4, and 5. Because that's either our first or second highest traveled road, that or East Sangerville, that we maintain. And I don't think that Silver's Mills has ever been built. It's been patched, we put a little gravel and paved, but we never actually built the
Rebuild
road.
it. Well,
And that road's got enough roads off it, that road ought to be built to.
They paved it one year from the Dexter Town line up maybe Brockway Mills.
Right.
And then-
But I
They
mean,
paved
it-
it. They
but
put,
it-
we
but
had
it-
30, I remember it, I was a selectman at the time. They had $35,000 or some such a figure
Yeah.
in the account, and I think John was the town manager then. And
Yeah.
oh, it's been paved again since
Right.
then, but they don't do
Right.
any building, and
There is work that needs to be done that isn't
Can-
even reflected in these
yeah.
numbers.
Can they rebuild it? I've been told that since there's no base, that we'll be digging to China.
Like
You-
I tell
you-
most people, go ride the Golden Road. Golden Road was built in the 70s, over swamps,
Yeah.
and you know, that road may be rough because it hasn't been graded, but that road is still there,
True.
because it was built out of rock,
Yeah.
and there's
And
always a way.
200,000-pound loads multiple times a day going over it all.
Yeah.
So, there's always a way to get through things, you know, that are better than,
What you have.
right.
It's just be thankful the Lock Road isn't inside the road. If you don't believe me, take a ride across it.
No, I haven't been out there lately. I guess I won't.
That's bad.
Shake your teeth.
I would almost bet that Bush would be out there with his dozer peeling it up, because the dirt would be smooth.
Yeah, the road's bad.
That's in Guilford.
Yeah.
So I don't have a total here for public works.
Okay, so you have to come all the way, Public Works ends on the next page.
Go down.
Yep, you're right.
So if we add,
Let's just call it a meeting, that'd give us enough to do some real work, wouldn't it? But not as much as we'd like.
Kelsey, you're faster than this, than I am.
Rhonda, how long will we audit?
And go with the totals. I missed that line when I totaled it.
Yeah, will we know what we got by town meeting?
you should.
But they haven't even looked at 2024 yet, other than to give you a account balance, correct?
I think.
They haven't even
I
started
think that's all.
doing any of the preliminary
I
stuff.
think all you're gonna have is your cash and cash equivalents, but you're not gonna have the complete audit.
No, you'll have your short report.
Maybe.
No.
We didn't have a
Maybe.
short, we didn't have
I
a short
know.
report last year.
Yes, we should know how much money we have.
They should have that figured out. I
Every
mean-
year they put a certain amount, but to reduce the commitment. We got 1.3 million.
Excuse me. Is this emergency?
Half a million, that's a commitment.
I mean, I think Michelle
Mom?
and Brian have a pretty good idea by balancing the checkbook, per se.
We know
Where
what's in the
we're
street
at,
account.
right, you know.
Like, we know we have
Hopefully
enough
not.
money to pay the bills
She
until
follows
July
it.
and tax dollars start coming
Do you
in.
need
With the
that
health
yourself?
reserve, in case something bad happens. But, and I have that local road assistance project money that's a
Do I add
capital,
these
has to go to a
amounts,
capital
or-
road
We didn't have anything
project.
for
Like I said,
that,
I
so
know we
we
can do
added the
Maple Street
garage.
with that.
Yeah, higher
put
up.
that down.
And the
Yes.
254.
So,
And then we
but
don't have
beyond
anything
that,
for road treatment.
we're not,
We don't have anything for
we're not
street
gonna know
signs.
for a fact that we have,
Yep, so you're
we
done.
may
So
have, we
then
may
you stop
get
right there.
to
Right,
July
so
and
none of
say,
this-
and we might
Yep,
have
they
to
didn't put
scale this
anything
back.
for street signs. I would think we'd need to, but I don't know, they found a bunch. I don't have anything for street signs, did you want anything for a budget there? I know one of you found a whole bunch of signs at the garage, but,
There's a pile of old signs in there.
I think we're in pretty good shape on that.
Okay.
Okay,
so
there are
we'll
two
put
different things, road signs and street signs. You've got lots and lots of road signs. Street signs you probably won't need a lot of, but in case somebody steals your Silver's Mills sign or or the plow runs over your, your Flanders Hill sign, those, it's generally not.
Everybody's got GPS signs now, street signs are an anachronism. I don't know, we can put something there if you
how
want.
No,
about, we'll
I-
put 500.
You don't need to put anything because you've got the entire budget to spend, and if you need to pull it out of a line, you can pull it out of a line, but I'm just telling you that it's in there, it looks like it's in there twice, it really isn't, it's one's street signs and one's
Okay, so
construction road kind of
758,
signs.
They just be street signs,
375.
based
So what do we got?
Right now,
Aye,
758,375.
and that is including all of the 254,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
What'd you say that number was again?
That figure was $758,375.
I think we'll find we can't leave all of that inside the budget, but we don't know how much of the roads we need to take out of the budget.
Okay, so next meeting is next Tuesday, correct?
Yes,
Well-
I need to check, I don't know about that, I think I have.
So I think we should approve this knowing that not all of it can be in the budget. You know, we'll approve the amount, but we'll have to figure out what can,
The amount, 700?
58,375. We can't raise all of that. We'll put the mill rate through the roof.
Well,
I
but, you know,
can-
some of that's gonna be, like, your excise money hasn't been taken out of that yet.
Mhm.
And there's gonna be other things that
Oh.
bring that into a more reasonable number.
But
you're right.
we can't see it at the, at
You
the
can't see
moment.
it, but yeah, I guess what we're looking for from the budget advisory, yes, it's a good idea to spend this money, this is a wise use of the money, but we understand we may not be able to fund it all this year, we may have to put some of this off. Which is essentially not less.
What's the mill rate?
1187.
That's at 100% value.
There's nothing we can do about health and sanitation. I mean, that, we have a contract and there's nothing we can say, hey, oh, we shouldn't have to pay that amount, but
Are you gonna vote on the road watch? Before we.
are we gonna vote?
I can just say, we can just say we're saying this, but no more than that amount.
Okay,
No more than.
no more.
Yeah,
Not
target
more than-
758.
Less if we have to, right?
Oh,
How's that?
What
No
she
more
just
than,
said.
less.
Okay. Rhonda Ball.
We're saying don't go over.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? No?
Not opposed, I.
Okay. Well, I can see you thinking, so I just. All right, health and sanitation, can I have a motion to approve the amount?
And what is that exactly?
That is your, garbage disposal.
That's the contract with Mid-Maine Solid Waste.
Oh, for us to do
$100.
our garbage.
Yeah.
Are you folks looking into going back to Dover? Did I?
I haven't really done a whole lot with that, cause I've had a lot of higher priorities, but I think I'm gonna suggest to I think I'm gonna let the selectmen are gonna be, let me make sure I phrase this right. The selectmen are gonna make a decision prior to the warrant about whether it will go on the warrant as an article for people to decide. And I need to provide them some more information before they make the decision whether that goes on the warrant or not.
So it's 126,000.
That's, that's what it is. You have to move it,
Yeah.
even if they move to Dover, it's gonna be within the same ballpark.
Yeah, it is. You're not gonna save
You're not
more money one way or the other.
It's not gonna change more than a few thousand. Okay, Diana moves it, second? Rhonda? All those in favor? All right,
Joyce, we have.
again, none. So, Division 6, pump.
Kinda like paying the county tax, Paul.
Yeah,
We don't have
pump
to
the
go-
septic and the
Pay the
trash.
bill and what's in the check.
Okay, we've got trash busters again.
Again.
We don't need trash busters again.
Why are they in there?
I knew it popped up, but,
That's versus
Yep.
125.
so we
They're
take,
not even trash busters then.
Well,
No, they
Take
don't.
that down.
It's disposal, yeah.
My bill still says trash busters on it.
yeah, it does, but has Patterson's,
Well, we gotta keep the names what it is.
is Patterson still doing the septic
Yep,
kit, and he's agreed to the 8?
that's what he keeps sending the bill
And
for.
Okay.
What does he do?
Where's that?
He has to have a contract with the town so that your private septic systems can be pumped, and then he takes it to a field
He has
to
the-
dispose
yes.
of it. He can't do it without a contract with the town.
Interesting.
Yeah, I always found it interesting, but,
Really,
but
sounds kind of yucky.
couldn't get out of it, so,
This Patterson up in Abbott.
Yep,
Yep.
Dennis.
Where does he come from?
Like if your home septic tank needs to be pumped, he has to have a contract with the town to be able to pump the tanks. And then he disposes of what he pumps out.
I had my tank pumped last summer, the guy down the current come out and pump it.
Right, what if you don't
What?
use it?
Well, if we
That's what I
don't
don't
use that.
understand.
I think that was
I don't know.
legislation you passed, Paul.
I don't think,
I think the town has to be contracted with
yeah,
somebody.
with somebody, yeah, I
But
think,
you can use whoever you want, cause I use the guy in Corinth too.
Yeah,
Yeah, grant.
yeah.
So you just have to have a contract.
One,
You just have to have a contract.
Right, that makes sense.
one, why?
And he's been $800 for I can't tell you how long.
back in 2019 or 20, he went up to 800.
And they don't spread the fields anymore.
Is it
No.
the law
No,
that
it
we
goes to
have to have a contract?
All goes where?
Where does it
All goes
go?
to Unity.
I believe
Oh,
so,
good.
but I can't swear to
As
it.
far as I know, Unity is the only human waste facility in Maine right now.
Oh,
Is it?
really?
Yeah,
Who is?
Unity. Just a little ways past the speedway. It's the nastiest place in the world.
They had one in Plymouth, that well.
They did, yeah.
They sure did.
Okay, so
Ask me.
I suggest a motion that we remove the 420 and,
Yes.
pass this for 800.
Oh,
All right. Paul,
Yeah, sure.
please? Sure. All right, all those in favor?
Needs to be utility.
All right. Monument lot. We have mowing.
What is it?
Yep.
so it was 500 proposed last year.
They spent,
Must be going fast, huh?
I think they broke down the mowing contract, and we don't wanna get into this again, but
Yeah.
they reconfigured the mowing contract, and
Those are our best guess at the numbers.
so,
Isn't the honor roll monument lot the same as a monument lot?
And it says over here in the column, I am not sure what this is.
Yeah, that's
divisions
just
That's
the
right.
division honor roll.
of the department.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So can we approve that for 1,050?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Alright. So then we have general assistance. Ooh, what happened?
We had people come in.
Okay.
I had one gentleman that I only saw him a few times for heat. I haven't seen him since. We've just had some people that
Do we have regulars that we now see every month?
I'm down to one
Okay.
out of 13.
Alright, how much, they reimburse what, 75% of this?
70%.
70%.
Yep, and this figure, because we just got the reimbursements for last year.
How much do you reimburse?
70%.
70%?
Yeah. And you don't have to fully budget for this because they allow you, the state allows us to go over.
Right.
5,000 is what we've always,
I think it used to be 90%.
It did at one point, but now it's straight
I was gonna
70%.
say, hasn't.
It was like 50%, and then you get to a certain point, and it would jump to 90, but now it's 70%.
70% is the highest.
Yeah.
So we're only budgeting 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And if we go over, the state's gonna give us back 70% of whatever we spend.
They give us, every month, they give us 70% back. Yeah.
I'm over
And-
5,000.
Second.
All those in favor?
Moving on, gotta get on with it.
Let's keep moving, yes. All right. Jason, did you want to present for Parks and Rec? All right, let me find my.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jason Hagan. I think everyone has a copy here. The Park and Rec Committee met last Sunday, and we kind of went through what we thought would be a budget, and also wanted to explain some of the activities that the park would want to do. So this is the St. Louis Veterans Memorial Park. Our goal, especially back in 2018 when we did the newer soccer field and the gazebo, was really to make it a place for the community of all ages, not just the youth to play sports, but to have the gazebo as a center focus to bring some older folks to the community to make it a centerpiece. Okay, so we had a summer series, a concert series. We were getting 125 people for that. Everything was working really well, and then COVID hit. And unfortunately, during COVID, we really fell behind on our deferred maintenance. And some of what we're going to ask for tonight in this proposal is to help us catch up on some of that stuff. In conjunction with that time, inflation has kind of crept in. Also, not having any public works, everything you have to pay for, as opposed to having the public works be able to do some of the smaller stuff for us. So we'll go through it. I think you guys have some of the numbers in your report. But when you think about the rec area, think about it in like 4 major buckets. There's fixed items that we have to do. Those items are like mowing, porta potties, things like that. Then there's maintenance items that we can fix things to make it better. And then there's program money that to hold events there, to help bring the community together, some programming money. And the 4th bucket is any kind of capital money that we want to put away to help replace like a playground equipment where we can't buy it all in 1 year. So over a 5-year period, can we tuck away a little bit of money so we can buy a bigger item? So if you look at the fixed items, the mowing has really increased. The number the town is helping us provide is up to like $5,000. Now they do mow once a week, and basically from the 1st of May through the middle of October. So if you count that out, it's roughly 24 weeks. So that's about $200 a mowing. So when you think about it in terms of $5,000, it seems like a lot, but $200 for, all that lawn, maybe that's good. Brian, you said the contract is gonna get resent out?
I'm
That's the
gonna,
plan?
yeah, basically, we're advertising for RFPs right now.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna be working on that bid package, and we're gonna include trimming as part of that as well.
Yeah, what the current contractor, overall, he did a relatively good job. He just, from time to time, they didn't flip up the bleachers and cut under the grass, they just kind of mowed the field and didn't do some of the smaller detail. We just want them to just go around with the weed whacker, clean up around the bleachers, around the fence, around the gazebo, things like that.
I'm gonna have that built
You know what I
in
mean,
the
just
contract.
the big items. Porta potties, we do our best to not have 2 there longer than we have to. They're about $135 now, a month. And so from May, June, and a little bit into July, we go with 2. We try to go with 1, the back half of July and August, and then actually through September. So we really overlap in the beginning because we kind of have activities at both the front field and the back field down near the boat launch. So that's our strategy, but the cost of porta potties have gone up literally from back in 2018, they were $80 a month, and now they're $135, probably going to go up again. Insurance, I'm not sure how the town does it, but they usually allocate us $200. Electricity has gone up, how much?
It's 266.
266.
So we're actually showing fixed cost is over 8,000.
Yeah, almost $8,000 in just fixed costs, before we can even address like fixing some of our problem areas. And so some of the areas that we identified that we want to try to do is, we have, our dugout buildings were built back in the 90s. I think it's the original shingles on them. The roofs are starting to leak, so I'm worried that if we don't do something with that, the underlayment is gonna be bad, and, you know, it's just gonna cost more money. So we need to address that. The lines on our basketball courts, if the lines disappear, you know, over age, and you have to pay the guy to come back to put them all back on, it's really expensive. And so what we typically tried to do before is when the contractor came to do the crosswalks here in town, we would have him come down to the brick field to do the basketball lines, since he was already here. And at the time, it was like $300 to do that. So we're kind of at that point where we need to do it because some of the lines are starting to like fade off. And before you know, it'll be $800 to remeasure, put the new lines down. We would like to make some decision on what to do with the lights. We have a really old timer mechanism, the lights are really old. You know, what do we do with that? Do we just take them down? Do we get rid of it? You know?
And we partly had that discussion at the meeting because those lights, you know, when they're staying on in the summertime, it doesn't get dark until 8:30, 9 o'clock. And do we really want people there after dark at the park? I mean, so we're weighing, do we replace them or do we just take those lights down and don't have them available? But then in the fall, when you might want something, you know, when it's getting darker earlier, you're not gonna have that same type of lighting. So, you know, we're weighing which is, or, you know, maybe change how the lights work at the park altogether, so that.
If you had an updated switch though, could you set the summer lights
Yeah, we could switch it
at a
to-
different time?
Well, that's how it's set, that's how the timer was set now, that the sign that says, I think it's 10 o'clock, but it's set, the timer has its own internal clock, and assuming the clock is the correct time, that it knows it can only go on at a certain time and it has to go off automatically, like the lights will just totally turn off.
Are those lights LEDs?
No, that's the problem, they're really old.
They're really old and they really need to be replaced along with the switch.
What, I guess the question that comes to my mind is replace them with LED. Would the cost savings in electricity cover that fairly?
We replaced, we had 48 LEDs in our arena and looked at the cost between the two. The savings was made in less than 6 months. I mean, it's the only way to go.
Yeah, and the folks at Gilman Electric in Newport, the big electrical supplier, they were gracious and they donated a lot of electrical stuff when we did the power to the gazebo, because it actually goes under the road and across the field all the way over, so
The other thing
they may
is
be willing to do some of the
efficiency of
donation.
Maine.
Efficiency Maine was another
They
option.
have a deal on that now.
Yeah, right.
Where they'll support that, but again, even for longevity, you're talking about 50, 60,000 hours.
But this is something that we definitely have to hire an electrician to do. It's not something that volunteer labor is going to be able to do. That's the part of it that people need to understand. You know, everybody thinks everything at the park should be volunteer. Well, not everything can be done with volunteers, you know? Some of us do a lot more than others, and you just can't do it all. And Jason and I get tired of being the two volunteers. And then we drag some people along with us to help.
We're getting
especially in
some
the
new
cold.
members, we're trying to refresh, but, you know. Just real quick, the other thing is, the grubs kind of really made a mess of both the grass of the baseball field and kind of went over the other fence over to the softball field. So some of that grass is gonna probably need some type of treatments, you know, reseeding. perhaps a new loam to, you know what I mean, because it's hard to grow grass, new grass and dirt that's infested with grubs. So that's another thing. The other thing that we wanted to just make the budget committee aware of is two things. One, playground equipment is pricey. We have a couple of grants that we're looking into. I figured that one of them is like a McKinsey grant based out of Millinock area. We had looked and they had provided playground equipment money to some other local towns. And so we thought we could, you know, the application's not too complex, try for that. And then the other part is the Maine Community Foundation is one of the largest grant areas in Maine. They have a Piscataquis kind of branch, if you will, and they do local grant money there. Back in 2018, we did get some money, that's how we paid for the summer concert series, and so we would like to try to apply for that again. It doesn't require matching funds or anything like that. And so we were starting to play around with the application, and we wanted to do $5,500. Price of bands have kind of gone up some, and this would also be the summer concert series and a winter event as well. But we're trying to get non-taxpayer money to help fund the programs. It's kind of what we're trying to do along with sponsorship. So in all that, I think the committee, or the rec committee, would ask the town to consider a total budget of $12,000. So that's kind of, again, thinking of $8,000 almost as fixed expenses and giving us $4,000 to address these variable deferred needs that we have.
And if we don't get it all spent this year, I'd like to see that as part of the carryover too, because we may not get everything done in 6 years.
Is Pirate Rec still involved?
Yep. They actually do all the actual programming. I mean, like their volunteers kind of manage the program. Some of their parents will help do some of the maintenance projects for us.
Do you get any money from them? Do they pay?
No, they don't, per se. I mean, they right now, they're only charging $20. I mean, they're basically barely breaking even at $20 for kids to enter and get a t-shirt out.
So the trade-off basically is our kids play Little League and youth soccer and everything like that. We don't have to fund any of that.
Right. They're,
And Pirate Rec uses our facilities as kind of
Or find the people to run the program.
So
that's a challenge.
last year, we ended up with 2 porta potties down there for most of the summer, right? I mean, is there a reason you wouldn't have? I know you listed like you only have them for certain times,
yeah,
but
well, basically what I try to do my best, and I'm not saying it's perfect, is if you get a porta potty for like one weekend, if we have like a softball tournament and it's on one weekend, they'll charge us $135 just for that one weekend. So we're like, okay, well, if we're gonna do that, we'll just keep it for the rest of the month. You know what I mean?
well,
Because they're kind of like don't want to move porta potties all over the place. So in some cases, that's what we try to do. So I think that, Michelle, to answer your question, I think that's what happens is the baseball season went into July, so we decided to keep it for the full month because we don't really get much proration if we turn it back in. Or if we had a need for like a one-off weekend, it might as well just pay the month at that point. And we only get that because we have the porta potties already there.
well, and what I'm wondering is, I spent a lot of time up there with my grandsons on this end with the kayaks and doing that. But then the little one, before we leave, has to to go through the playground. So is there really a reason that we can't have 2? Did you ever run into a problem that we shouldn't have 2 there?
We were just always trying to be as frugal as we could. And we kind of thought when people that went boating, if they're, in the summer, that's all the activity that's really going on there, like a gazebo, it just made sense to have it at the front. You know what I mean?
Plus, we're the trucker's best friend.
You are.
Watch how many trucks are at that porta potty in the summertime when you're driving back and forth, because they just stop there.
But we try to balance it out the best we can.
I was just wondering if there was a reason specifically that you don't.
When there's not a lot going on for sports things, for backfields.
Okay.
I think that's an attractive, what you've done out there is an attraction to this town. So I don't.
Rhonda, I had this guy in the office last week. I was trying to strong arm him into doing some more volunteering out there. I think it was Marty Taylor. I think.
And we need the York League, and he's got the tractor in New York Road, but that's when we would try to help, have Pirate Rec come in and help break those infields over and stuff. I mean, and when Butch did the whole field, all the Pirate Rec, a lot of them were there helping to clean up and get that new soccer field ready. So Pirate Rec does contribute. It's just, they're getting just like we are, few and far between are the volunteers, you know, so, but we have, I mean, Marty and I pay for all the flowers. You know, that doesn't run through this budget anyway, but I don't mind doing it. I'm just saying, there's a lot that people do that you don't know that's getting done by other people, you know, and the fire department came down and I bought lights for the whole gazebo, and now they're gonna stay on the gazebo all year, because I got the white ones, so when prom comes, we can turn the lights on. When the bands, I mean, if you're there on prom day, that gazebo is packed, people are lined right up there. So, we're just trying our best to do what we can with what we have. But
Well, it looks like
sometimes,
you guys are doing a great job.
sometimes we need a little bit more, and that's what we're asking for tonight. So,
I'm gonna move that we go with the 12,140 to show the support that, you know, this town needs to, they're volunteers, you know, I mean, it's.
It's also an investment in our kids.
Yes.
It really is important.
I'll second it.
And
You
it's an
second?
attraction to people coming.
It's a good idea.
All those in favor?
Thank you all.
See, Jason, we throw that 750,000, you know, chunk in there before.
Yeah, we're like,
Make your
whatever.
12-4, I'm like, that's.
Whatever.
And we're hoping we get those grants. One of them, I think, one for the band, we have to have it February 14th, but we don't even find out until June 1st, so that makes it hard to start hiring bands too.
The other one's March 1st.
Yeah, Shelley and I are working on the playground, and that could pay for a whole one.
Oh, that would be
No
nice.
taxpayer money.
Yeah, so we can,
Okay, last division, cemetery. I don't see anything but the bare basics here.
Well, there's a reason for that. We're still really figuring stuff out.
No, I'm just saying.
We know there's extra work that's gotta be done in the cemeteries. We don't have a plan for that yet, so we're not gonna ask for money for it yet.
Is that where it's eroding?
With that, I'm gonna have some engineers come in and look at, hopefully for free from the University of Maine this year.
Down by the river.
Yeah.
But the
We're
basic,
gonna leave waits to go for we get that far.
the basic cost is $22,075. Do I have a motion? All those in favor? Okay, we made it.
I'd like to ask,
I know.
in 1986, we had a huge flood.
So,
I'll
we're
figure it
gonna
out.
I
need
sat on the bank over there, watched the two car
This
drives
number
come down, float down through,
and
did it,
this
and then-
number
What will
updated.
happen to
Okay,
that
this
cemetery?
was what was spent last
A
year.
good
Yeah.
chunk of it
Okay,
will
so
go
I-
right down the road.
I just kinda wanna know,
Yep.
My
to
relatives
compare the
would be
two.
first to go, 'cause they were right
and this
behind
one's gonna
it.
change, I don't know, we've got what?
Well, I'm up to 140.
What's
Yeah,
that?
we added it up.
And the river was
Well,
right up over the bridge
I
now.
still think the porta potty should be.
Well, wasn't that supposed to be a 1,000-year flood?
So because it only goes in
I'm
as
not the
a,
architect.
as one article, they can move.
This guy
The
like
lines
fire
around,
chief,
right,
old
yeah.
fire chief Oldtown years ago said, he said, the good news is,
Okay, so-
we only have a major earthquake about once every 350
We
years. on the East
subtracted
Coast.
one
Bad
here.
news is, we haven't had one for about 350 years.
Yeah, the 420.
So-
Michelle's working on a total
Well,
for
I
us.
think Kelsey's added up.
Okay.
Actually, I think I would
Kelsey's
trust
working
her
on
better.
Kelsey's working on a total for us.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where we've been looking at so many numbers, throwing so many numbers around. Lucky if we could balance our own checkbooks right now.
I don't even try.
This one doesn't have, say, is it this?
Oh, is it?
Maybe the 925, right?
Well, that's good, that's something to
Yes, it
Right,
was.
it's just
Yep.
all over the line.
Yep,
CD.
exactly.
Transferred the money down to Camden, we lost $6,800 approximately.
Well, I think that their thought was is that they weren't gonna have to dip into it. we were gonna be able to get through until tax season. And they came up short, it came up short, so they had to remove it at that point.
You know what's surprising is it took as many years as it did.
And it took almost $7,000.
How many years was it? Would they?
The first one was 3 years.
Had we rolled that back and had we kept that.
It must have been close to 6.
And signed it on for another
That's
year,
just general government.
we couldn't have pulled it out when we needed it.
these that I just.
Yep, that's all.
Or it would have cost us probably more in
doesn't match
penalties to
that.
pull
No,
it
it
out,
doesn't.
you know.
So, alright, let me get my notes. Let's see if we can figure out.
Jason would like to have the 7,000, he said so.
Could,
Ron would like to have it, Bill.
Too
Too bad it's bad, wouldn't it?
all right, they're trying to figure out a total for us. We're scheduled to meet with the select board next Tuesday at 6.
Right here.
Can you be here? That's the third one. I'll just get to work on the other 2/3.
6 o'clock, you said?
Yes.
I would say that Jeff would be the only issue one, but that
But that's,
Jeff's case right now, that's completely understandable.
I'm almost, I think I mentioned it to Mike anyway, I'm certain Mike will be here.
Do I add this one?
Okay.
Yep.
The
So,
16th?
do you want to wait for this total, or would you like to adjourn the meeting?
The 19th.
I move to adjourn.
That's what we, yeah. I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
I think that we're not.
Okay. We will have the numbers for the next,
As I said, we'll have the numbers all updated for next Tuesday.
For all your preliminary work,